Hi, I'm Tom Garner. This is Bulldog Hill. It's November the 18th, 2025. I'm swinging from an oak tree on my property. Thank goodness it's not by the neck. Having a very pleasant November fall day. And this week it's occurred to me, based on a few calls that I've received, that there is an absence of knowledge about hydration and in dogs, in canine athletes, and what elements interact with each other to either get you exactly where you want to be or keep you from being in your best state. Um, say you have a dog and you want to go hog hunting, and you realize that this can be very taxing on your dog, and that he really needs to be at his best, not only to achieve his objective with a hog, but also to survive. Uh, there are lots of cases out there where dogs, particularly game dogs, work so hard they actually work themselves into a state where they can not survive because they have overexerted themselves. So, to that end, there's a couple of elements that need to be monitored and controlled and put in their ideal condition in order to maximize your chances for the dog to achieve his objective with a hog, and to also have also to survive, and then given that he survives, have the easiest recovery period. So two of the variables that occur to me: state of hydration, and the other one is the right amount of body fat. uh, if you have a dog too hydrated, he's going to retain heat in his body, and heat will shut down a dog's physical systems faster than anything else I know. Well, I mean, there may be cases of injury that would shut it down faster, but let's just say that the dog gets too hot, he's not going to be able to function. And there's two things that off the top of my head, that will cause him to get too hot. Uh, Certainly, environmental conditions can contribute to that. But if that's not an element, if the dog is too wet, it's like he's got a wet blanket wrapped around him and it's retaining heat. And remember remember that image vividly, because that's exactly what it is. The too wet, they literally have a wet blanket wrapped around them, and the heat cannot dissipate into the air. Same thing happens if they're too fat. Fat is an insulator. It is intended to be a barrier between a cold environment and a proper body heat. It's a little over 100 degrees for a dog. So if they're too fat or they're too wet, um, they're gonna they're gonna run hot not too far into their exertion. Uh, so some people have learned that if you if you put a dog on essentially a keto diet, which is all fat and protein and no carbohydrate, for a few days, they pretty rapidly lose weight. They can lose a pound a day. Uh, you have to be very strict with it. No kibble. All kibble has carbohydrate in it. But one of the side effects of cutting out all the carbs is you lose body fluid. Carbohydrate nutrition plays a significant role in regulating hydration in a human or in a dog. So if you cut out all uh, if you cut out all carbohydrate, you're going to lose a pound or two of fluid. All right. So what's that doing to the function of your dog? Well, uh, it's going to make the blood thicker. Won't be as much water in the blood, um, and then the blood gets harder to pump. Heart does not circulate it nearly as well. So there's a lot of interacting things here that can really cause you to have significant problems as you prepare your dog for a hog hunt. So keep that in mind. If you're having to do the keto stuff, you want to normalize from keto or zero carbohydrate um, diet long enough to be able to normalize at the end of your conditioning period. So think ahead. Don't wait to the last minute to try to fix things. You have to be cognizant of all the trends that are going on with your dog. You are checking your dog's hydration level and checking his weight multiple times a day, just to just to zero in on and be in control of these variables. Well, how do you monitor the dog's hydration level? Well, the traditional way is to lift up the skin on the back between the shoulder blades. Just grab 2 points, squeeze it a little bit, and pick it up, and then start counting whenever you release it. 1001, 1002, and somewhere between 1.5 and 2, it should have totally resumed its previous state before you reach down and pinch the skin and pulled it up. If it's 3, then the dog is too dry. So if it's too dry, then the blood's not going to pump as well. The dog's not going to breathe as well. If it's too wet, then you're going to retain heat, and the dog will suffer mightily as a performance if it gets too hot. So, um, so how do you stay on top of these things? A lot of it is a product of again, monitoring the trends well in advance. Weeks out, you should be observing to what extent your dog is wet, to what extent is your dog dry, and you can adjust those trends with electrolytes. There are a number of quality electrolyte products, electrolytes that are relevant to fluid retention are um, potassium, usually in the form of potassium chloride, um, salt, which is sodium chloride. Those two are the primary ones, but calcium, usually in the form of calcium carbonate, plays a significant role. And while we're getting our minerals correct, always make sure your dog has a proper amount of a good grade of magnesium. What magnesium does is it allows muscles to relax after they contract. If you got a muscle that's working, even your heart muscle, uh, has to, its overall performance depends not only on how firmly and effectively it contracts, but it also depends on how effectively that it relaxes. So in order to have that process working efficiently from both ends, you not only have to have the electrolytes, but you got to have the magnesium that will facilitate relaxation in the muscle after it does its work. So um, if you're going to do um, keto dieting, which is all protein and fat, make sure you don't have to go into the final 2 or 3 days trying to reach a body weight level or a body fat level, because then you're going to screw up your hydration in the last day or two. So you can see how all these variables interact with each other. You have diet affecting hydration. We've told you how to check for proper hydration. We talked about one aspect of it, and that was lifting the skin and seeing how long it takes it to fall back into place. A slightly more accurate level or of means of doing that is to stick your finger between the gum and the lip. And it shouldn't be on the bottom gum and lip, because the saliva will pond up there and it will give you a false sense that you are wetter than you are. So any excess saliva is going to drain down from the upper gum and lip. You stick your finger in there and see how wet it is. And if it is wet, then the dog's not too dry. Another thing that you run into if the dog's too dry is if he has lips that are of significant size, he will actually drive his teeth up into his lips as he tries to grab hold of the hog. So um, essentially, that's like having a knife and putting it in his sheath. If he has fanged himself and he's got his teeth up in the lips, then that's like trying to cut with a knife that's in its sheath. It doesn't do anything. So the way you prevent that, if you suspect that your dog may be marginally too dry because it's sticky and tacky and not slick and wet between the upper gum and lip, take a little bit of Vaseline and just wipe down the gum first and then the inside of the lip second on both sides. That will greatly reduce the probability that your dog is going to get fanged. All right, so in summary, you see how we have all these things that interact with each other, that if you plan ahead and you start monitoring your dog weeks out, instead of waiting to the last minute and trying to fix something that you don't really understand, uh, the issues that you have with diet, the dietary effect on hydration, the ability to increase the um, level of hydration with electrolytes. Um, all these things interact, and hopefully we've covered it enough that you kind of get the gist of how they interact and how planning ahead, so you don't put yourself in a corner trying to get to the proper weight and then cutting carbs, which causes dehydration. Cutting carbs is a great way to lose weight. I'm not saying don't do that, but I'm just saying don't run it all the way into the day that you have your hog hunt. All right. I hope this has stimulated some thought and solved some problems. Nice to visit with you. Have a wonderful day.